Hello everyone, this is Remleiz from 40k Theories, and welcome to this newest edition of Adeptus Podcastus. Joining me as always are Michael from Tactica Imperialis and EgoQueenAlexis. So firstly, how is everyone doing today?
Well, we're currently going through third winter for absolutely no reason. So that's a thing.
Yep, I've had 7.5 hours of lectures in one day. I've got exams in a week, so stellar. Absolutely stellar.
Actually, overall, I'm doing pretty good. I got back from Iceland. That was amazing. That trip was awesome.
Yes, also apologies to some people being very, very loud on the corridor. No, apologize for that.
Just shout at them in French. What's the phrase to tell them to shut up? Tais-toi? Is that right?
Tais-toi is definitely used. I've not actually heard anyone actually tell someone to shut up, but I know tais-toi.
Well, there you go. People have learned some French today if you didn't know what tais-toi mean. Okay.
Yes, and if you're that one person who commented on my video for getting super salty because I had the bollocks to use the phrase raison d'être, then, well, I hope you feel happy now.
So, in the news this week, the Deathwatch and Harlequin Courtesies have release dates. The Deathwatch Codex should be available from this weekend coming, I believe it is.
I think it's going on pre-order this weekend rather than coming out. I'll double check.
Regardless, it'll still be available to order.
Oh no, it's a release.
Oh, it's release. Oh, there we go then. And the Harlequin one should be the week after or 2 weeks after, if I recall.
It certainly won't be long. They'll be out in May. I know that.
Let's really hope that the Harlequin Codex is at least fair.
Or Dark Reaper spam.
Well, they got rid of Dark Reaper spam with the big FAQ.
Ish.
But, that was so ridiculous.
I mean, it's always going to be a problem, though, that some armies are just good unless they do a full-on balance pass. Like, there's not much they can do aside from the changes they get onto the FAQ, I'm sure. In brief, I know we've discussed it before in our own videos, but we will get onto it. But as regards to Deathwatch, since we'll start there, they're getting what are called mission tactics, an expanded list of special issue ammo weapons, and the option to include Primaris. Now, we've got confirmation as well that the Primaris kill teams are separate from the regular dude kill teams. They're called Fortis kill teams, and they're a mix of intercessors, reavers, aggressors, and inceptors. So no hellblasters.
I was kind of hoping that the kill teams could be mixed, so you could have regular dudes and Primaris all mixed together in one kill team.
That was one of the theories being bandied about. Yes, we weren't sure whether it was going to be full mix or Primaris mix and regular mix.
Yeah. Because looking back on it, full mix probably would have been too difficult to keep track of certain things, maybe.
I don't know about keeping track, because obviously the models are very easy to tell the difference, but I think it would have been an interesting option. I think it'd just been a case of you'd really be able to compare Primaris and regular one-to-one. You'd probably end up finding a way that Primaris or normal became the only thing used anyway. That might still be the case, but we shall see.
Yes.
I don't know, I just hope that points get reduced and they don't suck.
That's fair. That's completely
as
fair.
It stands right now, their index is garbage. It's just hot garbage.
How is it when they were compared to last edition? I mean, I don't even know how well they played last edition.
Last edition?
They were like mediocre, tier 3, tier 2 with good builds.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't face them competitively, but with the right gear and a bit of good placement, they could do some disgusting things to you. But I don't think they were ever going to be breaking the top tiers, even in 7th.
Fair enough.
To be fair, I don't think they'll break the top tiers even in 8th, because they just won't have the options. And I know it's odd to say for Deathwatch, given that they're the most customizable squads in the game, but I don't think they're going to have enough options generally to carry up to the top tiers.
I slightly disagree with you on that. I don't think that they're going to have the body count to do it.
That's also true.
Like,
we'll see what their points cost come out though.
The reason I would put Primaris Marines in a Deathwatch squad is a bullet sponge. I would use his 2 additional wounds to soak up some damage and let him die. I wouldn't even upgrade him.
I mean, you can't do that, so...
Well, no, that was the thing going around for a while. And now that you can't do that, I can almost guarantee that Primaris Marines are not even going to see play in that army.
Especially with Hellblasters not being an option by the looks of it.
Yeah, the Hellblasters being the only good ones that they have. Which is one of the things. I got into this huge debate with somebody who's like, why play Space Marines when Primaris Marines are a thing? And I'm just like, unless you're playing Dark Angels, the Primaris Marines are pretty much useless. Like, a tactical squad is just as good, in fact, maybe even better, because it has options for heavy weapons.
That's
and
possible.
Special weapons.
Yeah, I think point for point, an Intercessor might outdo a Tactical Marine, bolt rifle to bolt gun, but you just don't have the options.
It's like, okay, cool, your Sniper Bolter is really good. The -2 AP, Strength 4. Awesome. But Larry over here, he has a rocket launcher. Yeah.
And it's interesting, the Primaris squads remind me of the 30k Legion tactical squads, where they couldn't take any weapon options either. The veterans were the only ones who could take special weapons. And it's kind of like, I know people have said, oh, it's just the Legion's reborn. Well, they've kind of nodded to it in a small way.
It kind of is. I mean, Gilliman wants the Legions back.
He realised he fucked up.
Yeah, despite breaking them up in the first place.
Like, I'm just imagining that. He's just like, we need to break everything up, make sure everything is nice and organized. All right, guys? He comes back. Crap, I was not counting on Chaos still being unified. I don't know what I saw there, so we need to get everybody back together.
No, I do know what his logic was.
It could be worse. You could say, like, okay, we need to split up the chapters, now we're going to have 1 million companies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he could have gone the other way, and I don't think, despite the fact that they had the chance to, really, with the Blood Angels, I don't think we're going to see the Legions proper reborn. But
Except for the Dark Angels.
Well, the Dark Angels have been doing it on their own since always, but details. But yeah, I'm going back to Deathwatch. I do think there'll be an interesting one, and with the soup nerf, if it is a proper nerf, I believe it has definitely made a difference, though I don't know quite much difference. With that being a thing, it's much harder to just sneak a kill team into your army on the cheap. You can do it if you're a Space Marine player, because you can use the Astartes keyword, but it's a little bit less easy to get a kill team into your army, which has to be considered.
That is true. The big FAQ really made Greyfax completely useless.
It probably made more than just her completely useless. I mean,
yeah, but that's Grand Booty Greyfax. I'm just imagining Michael right now is just sitting there flabbergasted. It's like, how do I respond to that? Like, the hell, Alexis?
Well, to be fair, I'm not sure if the Grey Knights players have stopped crying Salt Rivers yet. I mean, some people seem to not mind as Grey Knight players, but there's been a lot of Grey Knight salt.
There's always going to be salt from these things, regardless. You can't please everyone.
Yeah. Oh, I know that, but like the actual, it's you could dry up the sea dissolving all that salt.
It's basically Planet Not Hoth from Last Jedi.
But
I feel bad for the Tyranid players that went out and bought 7 Flying Hive Tyrants after Adepticon.
that'll teach you.
I mean, I have 8... No, I think I have like 8 Hive Tyrants at this point, but I've been collecting for years.
Yeah, and I mean, the Flying Hive Tyrant kit, there's enough weapon options to make different Hive Tyrants. I think the people who've mainly lost out those who got them all the same way to meet the meta list and have now realized, oh crap, I didn't magnetize, I'm screwed.
Yeah, that's one thing. Also, you need really powerful magnets to magnetize a Hive Tyrant. It's really annoying.
Well, yeah, that too.
I just have enough Hive Tyrants where I don't need to magnetize anymore.
Yeah, that's what I was sort of getting at. The FAQ itself... the FAQ itself, I'm not going to go into huge amounts of details, but I don't think we need to. It's been out long enough. I mean, it happened in between us recording and releasing the podcast because it always does. But all I'll say is it's a well-intentioned FAQ. How well it will work out and what will be changed going forward remains to be seen, I think. Yeah. I think there's a tournament on the way. I think it's ATC. which has been previewed on Warhammer Community, so that might be a good first testing ground.
Yeah, I can't wait for Eldar to win again. Oh no, it's actually going to be... I'm really, really convinced that it's going to be Guard and Blood Angels that are going to win it.
I can see why people say Guard. I thought Blood Angels took a relatively big hit from the Deep Strike nerf, but...
Well, ironically, they didn't, because me and my good friend Riley were talking about this. If a Guard player decides to drop a Shadow Sword, which is 28 power level, something like that, whatever, it's a lot of power level, okay? And a bunch of squads of infantry, with mortars, obviously. Because if you're not running mortars, you're... Anyway. And you're running 2 sergeants, okay? So you have a grand total of 3, 4, 5, 6 drops on the field. That means you can put 6 in reserve. But their power level cannot exceed what's on the field. But you have a Shadow Sword on the field. That means you have a lot of points to put into reserve.
Yes, but how are you going to... 2 detachments. Yeah, I nearly called out the super nerf, but that's not a problem if you have 2 detachments.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be 2 detachments, and they can do 2 battalion detachments. They can use the Imperial Guard as the warlord to gain back the lost stratagem, lost command points that go on through the game, and get more from the opponent, and have all of the broken Blood Angel stuff for close combat, which means the Guard line will never even be hit.
Ouch.
Well, lovely. I mean, it'll be interesting. There's a lot of people who have perhaps rightly been saying, well, they've nerfed short-range Alpha Strike, therefore gun lines are going to rule the roost. So we'll have to see.
Gun lines have always won every edition because a gun is better than a sword. Like, if I can kill you...
But maneuverable guns versus just stand there, roll dice, be the most boring arsehole in the room.
Yeah, tower fun. Actually, no, that's more Necrons now.
To be fair, that's more than a few armies shtick.
Yeah, I can give you that one. I mean, hell, my Space Marines run that way. Because all I bring is Devastators and Predators.
Yeah, Marines do it, Guard do it, Tau do it, Necrons do it. Probably in some armies, Eldar do it, although theirs is more of a step, it's a shuffle, shoot, shuffle.
No, theirs is, I'm going to sit down right here and blow you away.
Oh, okay, they do it too. Yeah, that's okay, welcome to Tier 1. Pretty much.
Did you move? Ha, nerd. Except Blood Angels, which can literally dart across the board turn 1, and Slanesh armies that can do the same.
And a couple of others, like Dark Eldar can do it, but I don't know how powerful they really are. Well, you said it before, they can OTK you, but...
And Drukhari are very powerful.
In other news this week, Necromundan bounty hunters are available for pre-order, is it?
I believe so. There's certainly some are on pre-order. I think might be. To be fair, it's been a very busy little period for Forge World in general.
Oh, yeah.
Forge World have been very busy. So we had Alfarius, obviously, but we've also got the Lenaean Terminators for Horus Heresy, and we've got a bunch of stuff for Necromunda. And today, as I'm recording, we had the announcement of Joseph Bugman coming to Blood Bowl, which is lovely.
As both a star player and a coach.
Indeed. Where is this? Where are those Necromunda places? Here we go. So we've got the Squat bounty hunter, Grendelson. Names. Belladonna, the Bionic Woman. Guy who's definitely not a Tau. Eros Slagmist, the water siphon person. And Slate Medina with the not quite sort of Cyberdog.
Yeah, the Cybermastiff.
Indeed. It's quite imposing.
Yep. And for all of you that play Dark Heresy, you'll recognize a lot of their weapons, though they do have now simplified names. But they do have things like the Exterminator there, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, there's a bunch. The Goliath weapon pack is its official name. Mm-hmm. There's a bunch of different things in there, including some very interesting looking ones. And one that looked like a hyperface sword. I still maintain it looks like a hyperface sword. But maybe that's just me thinking that.
Yeah. Must be an extremely rich Goliath to get hold of a hyperface sword.
It's Necromunda.
which isn't full of rich people.
Yeah, but I don't know enough about Necromunda to argue with you. There is that super high-tech house who could probably get their hands on something.
True, but overall, Necromunda is basically like, in a really rough part of the East End of London. Because I'm going to have people walking around, with, Versace clothes and driving Lamborghinis in that part of town.
No, that's a fair point.
Essentially. Apologies to anyone from East End of London listening.
Nah, you guys suck. You know it.
The joys of being from the north.
Anyway, if you guys play Dark Heresy and wanna spice up your collection, I would suggest these. If you guys are part of the few that are playing Necromunda, I kind of want to play some Necromunda, like really badly. Nobody plays it around me.
Yeah, I don't think there's anybody around me plays it either. Though if you are wanting to do a Dark Heresy style thing in Necromunda, they've also announced the Nator bands, which are temporary coalitions of bounty hunters who can join up with the gangs and generally just be a lot more customizable. So that should be a nice option. If you want to try and create your own Dark Heresy warband and then put it on the tabletop, I think that's probably a good way to go about doing it.
I mean, Michael likes being put on a tabletop.
That's not even funny.
Yeah, it is.
I'm just confused now.
Anyway.
Don't ask, leave it. Finally, in terms of releases from the May White Dwarf preview, we also get confirmation of the Webway Gate, which is making a return. And the thing's absolutely massive. It's a 2-part kit, so you get 2 halves to the gate that don't actually stick together at any point. And it's basically 1.5 Wraith Knights, nearly. In terms of height, I mean, it might not be exactly to scale, but it's about 1.5 Wraith Knights.
And probably costs just as much.
I mean, considering it's literally 2 thin bits of plastic, I'm not going to finish that sentence. But it's quite an interesting thing. It's interesting the way they've painted it, because the way most people think of Webway Gates, at least the way I do, is these shining white Wraithbone constructions. Generally, they're painted brilliant white. But these Webway Gates that they painted for White Dwarf are really dark, almost Carbolite blue, which is an interesting change of pace.
Maybe they're a Drukhari Webway Gate.
Given that the figures on either side look like Altark crossed with Wraith constructs, I'd be inclined to think no, but...
They probably just painted that way so they could be used for both.
Probably. Very much probably.
It's more than likely going to be faction keyword, Eldari, or stuff like that, where all of them can use it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, because, they have the Webway Portal stratagem, and it might just be that the Harlequins get a rework, that their Webway Portal stratagem also includes Webway Gate, or that just has a rule that works like Webway Portal stratagem.
And then somewhere Reaver Titan's going to be upset because it's too big to get through the gate.
Speaking of Titans, what's interesting is, it's not exactly Titans, but the fact that we've got Harlequins and Deathwatch before the Imperial Knights. Because we got the preview video showing off the baby war for Adepticon, and yet we haven't got the Knights Codex first, and I was fully expecting to get that first.
Oh my god, that baby warlord is so adorable. Have you seen it? It's so cute. It just walks around with those little guns. It's so happy. I'm gonna go destroy the heretics. Yeah.
What the flip?
Sorry, it's cute and adorable, and I want to put it into a baby carrier.
So you're going to call it Magnus?
I hate you.
I don't even know what to say to that. But yeah, as I say, I thought we were going to get Knights first because they got their preview video and stuff, and yet they're going to be the last of those 3 courtesies, which is just an interesting change of pace. I wasn't expecting that.
Well, I'm hoping they throw some last-minute things in there, the Knights can actually take Skutari as a troop choice, so that you can actually play them.
I think if they had Titans in the army, they might give them the Titan Guard infantry, but I don't think that's really the Knights thing so much.
Well, I mean, some Knight households, all Knight households are closely associated with the Mechanicum.
Not all of them. Some of them are more with the Adeptus Terra than the Mechanicus, but you could probably get away with it.
Either way, Princeps can afford their own PDF, so why would they not be able to take guard?
Because
in all
fairness,
everybody can just say, well, Alexis, take them in a separate detachment. And to that I say, well, you're right. I got nothing else. Like, you're right.
Yeah, I fully expected a well-constructed counter-argument. I mean, they probably aren't the best thing to take, because one is enough, but...
The worst thing about knights is you do have to bubble wrap your own knights even after you move them. Which is actually pretty cool because you can move them over your own infantry and then take your infantry bubble and just wrap it around them again. This keeps things like Rippers from locking them in close combat.
Which, if I'm honest, is one of the dumbest things to ever be done. Like, I get walking over infantry, makes total sense, that's logical, but they can't walk over a living carpet. Like...
Yep, nope. They cannot do it. It freaks them out.
No.
Oh, well, it turns out, Michael, that one of the Princeps who's part of the machine spirit now is actually afraid of icky bugs and nurglings. So when he sees them, he just completely locks up and he's just like, nope, I'm not moving.
Yeah, it's just one of those little quirks of the way keywords work. It's a bit dumb.
Yeah, but it's funny as hell.
Yeah, is there a swarm keyword? I forget.
I think so. I don't have my Codex with me.
No, I don't. None of my armies use it anyway, but I don't have Xenos 2 with me to check with Rippers either. But if there isn't a swarm keyword, I would understand, because you think they might just rework their step over to work with infantry and swarm. But they probably have the beast keyword to represent their enhanced movement.
I think they do have the beast keyword.
Yeah, because that's what they used to be last edition, is Rippers and Scarabs and stuff were beasts, generally.
Yeah. So silly.
No, I got it, because it represented their higher maneuver ability to swarm over terrain like it's not there. I get why they had the beast keyword, but it led to some slightly wonky things.
Oh, I got it. This is why he can't step over them. They're like banana peels.
What?
You step on a Ripper, you're just going to fall over.
Has there ever actually been a documented case of someone slipping on a banana peel? Outside of, like, a comedy?
Mythbusters actually did it.
Was it confirmed?
I think so. I think they said that banana peels are indeed slippery, but not the slipperiest of things. Like, if you like cooking oil is much more slippery than banana peels because it's kind of meant to be.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Fair enough.
And I suppose one of the other things of news that we can discuss is the upcoming little preview we got from Black Library of some upcoming novel. And, well, as a result, novels. Caiaphas Cain is getting a new novel.
Caiaphas Cain! Oh my god, I love Zap Brannigan. The dude is Zap Brannigan of 40k.
Right. I'm going to pretend I know what either of those things mean.
Is he constantly trying to bed an abhuman woman?
I mean, I'm pretty sure he wouldn't be above it. Like, he described a Dark Eldar witch as rather fetching.
He gets his abhuman assistant to go up to the witch and goes, "The Commissar wants you to wear this outfit."
Stop.
His sanctioned crew.
Stop. The novel in question, for anybody wondering, is called Choose Your Enemies.
Oh. Wait, Leela's a mutant, so this makes total sense. I'm done, I promise.
I'm not expecting you to go like, "Crude, more baby powder. I'm chafing." Or something.
Don't encourage her for the love of everything.
He could be no, it has to be a Crude because Crude is green.
Could be a sanctioned orc.
It could be. It could be.
Sanctioned grot, there we go, it's a sanctioned grot.
Well, yeah, you could sanction a grot. I mean, if you're a rogue trader.
I mean, it's interesting about grots because, like, how intelligent are they, really?
They're at least on par with orcs.
Yeah, but orcs are, whilst capable of random acts of genius, generally not the most intelligent beings in the galaxy.
Well, they got the intelligence on par with a teenager, at least, so...
Yeah, what the orcs lack in raw math, like academic and general, that sort of intellect, they make up for in, particularly in the Grot's case, deviousness and cunning in many cases.
Well, the Grots actually do aim their guns and know how to maintain and work all of their vehicles and everything.
And conduct neurosurgery.
Yep.
Not potentially the best neurosurgery. Grotnik did kind of go psycho, but there you go.
It was better than nothing.
Yeah, he wasn't dead. And to be honest, I have to wonder, like, whether Grotnik's insanity was due to the Grots botched it, or they just didn't have the tools to hand. Because, I mean, it takes, when you're not a doc who is, like, innately wired to do it, that takes some doing to be able to just do random neurosurgery, or someone who's had their head cut open by a death dread.
And who's now under the personal protection of Ghazghkull Thraka.
Yeah, though the Ghazghkull Special Exploding Cranium incident, yeah, that was an interesting one. Yeah, I don't know why an Inquisitor would really want to keep a grot around, like, aside from, like, informant that would get killed in 5 minutes if it tried to go and be an informant in an orc camp, because it's a grot.
That's easy. Study the Xenos, learn how to kill him better. Know thy enemy.
Oh yeah, I get some of the theory, but you couldn't really use information followed by a bullet to the face because you can't send it back because it's a grot, it'll die in 10 minutes. And you can't exactly use it to fight because it's a grot, it'll die in 10 minutes.
But it'll make a handy distraction. Just throw it at someone. Just give it, like, give it some wings, like with the Goblin Doom Diver. Chuck out of an airlock. Whee!
Oh dear. Going back to Caiaphas Cain, though, like, the novel is an interesting because I think he looks like an absolute asshole in this artwork. I love
Caiaphas Cain. If there is going to be a 40K movie, I want it to be based on Caiaphas Cain. And
he's probably one of the best characters to do it on. Him and Gaunt are probably the best two characters.
The reason I suggest him is because of how nonchalant he is about, like, horrible death things. Like, oh, it's a lictor. I've killed them before, or whatever. Oh, I killed 3 of my men. Yeah, I'm gonna move away
I thought
now.
the followers of Khorne were supposed to be warriors, not a bunch of pansies. That's a famous quote of his, isn't it?
It is. The dude is fast enough to block a witchblade.
Didn't he also, like, shoot a demonette and just say, sorry, I prefer blondes, or something?
Probably.
So this guy's like the Imperial version of Deadpool, nearly. Just like...
I was going to say it was the Imperial version of Blackadder.
Oh, Zap Brown again.
But, like, almost impossible to kill. Got a million one-liners just hiding up his arse, and just, like, an absolute dick, but no one can not love the guy.
Yeah, I'm still going with Blackadder.
Yeah, that's fair enough, but not a... Does Blackadder really make it bigger in the States? I'm not sure.
I don't even know who that is.
That's your answer then. Half the audience didn't understand that joke.
The English
the audience never understands any of our jokes.
So I have to argue regarding... Well, not argue, but ask. Regarding a 40K movie, why Cain over Gaunt? Because the Gaunt's ghosts are probably a more rootable for group of individuals, and you've got more...
That's actually the exact reason. See, Caiaphas Cain, you follow one dude, one story. Well, you follow his crew, but it's essentially one dude. He doesn't take anything seriously, so you can introduce things very quickly and have him explain it really quickly. Like, what is a Tyranid? It's a monster from another galaxy that's trying to eat us. And that would be perfectly okay. Versus, like, Gaunt, who had hacked... That series would go into graphic detail on everything, like, this is a Tyranid, it's a bio-organic weapon designed to mass murder people. Some believe that the Outsider is actually controlling them, but there's no actual proof of that. They cast the Shadow in the Warp, which makes people go crazy, and blah, 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 blah. Where Caiaphas would be like, I don't know, shoot it, it dies.
I mean, I've not read the Caiaphas K novels, I've only actually read First and Only from Gaunt's Ghost. But I feel like, having done a little bit of reading on the Tanith First and Only, this whole idea of, like, you said Kane focuses on an individual, and you're right, but Gaunt's Ghost is very much it's one regiment, but the main cast is quite small, and you can easily make it very Gaunt-centric if you want to do that.
The only thing that I would change is if there are too many characters, the story gets too convoluted. See the newest Marvel movies where they're starting to get ridiculous. Spoilers, Ant-Man dies. That's actually a joke for anybody that has seen the first Avengers Infinity Wars. He's not in it.
I haven't seen it, so shush.
Shush. It was exactly what everybody thought it was going to be.
Oh yeah, I know, but I haven't seen it, and my brother probably will spoil it for me in 10 minutes, so shush.
Well, then consider me... anyway.
Thanos demands silence.
I don't care what Thanos demands. I love Homer Simpson. Anyway.
It's Hank Hill.
It's Hank Simpson. Get it right. Anyway. Where the hell was I going with this?
You're going with too many characters.
I got the Infinity Gauntlet, I tell you what.
Too many characters. If you do something like that in 40k and you have, for a 40k movie and you have more than 3 characters, I think it would get too convoluted for people to follow and or care about the characters themselves. Because you can only have so many brooding, dark characters in one movie versus the 40k setting, where everybody is brooding and dark, except for idiots that color their power armor yellow.
Alternatively, instead of focusing on either Gaunt's Ghosts or Caiaphas Cain, focus on Cal Jericho. Set to the world of Necromunda. It focuses on one world. One guy, bounty hunter and his mutant partner, he's a wisecracker, risk taker, lots of action, gunfights. Think like, Blade Runner meets the Old West. That could work for a movie.
Yeah, Jericho would be an interesting way of doing it. I mean, it depends on what sort of introduction you want to give people to 40k, because obviously if you're going to use this as people's gateway to 40k, going with Jericho, whilst it'll be fantastic for those who are in the know, I worry that people would just be there thinking, okay, that's a cool movie, now I'm going to move on, or they're going to get the wrong impression of what 40k is.
Actually, a really good movie would be Red and Black. That would be an amazing movie.
What about Eisenhorn?
Eisenhorn would be good, or Garrow. Like, start in the middle of the Horus Heresy.
I don't know about start in the middle. You'd leave everybody who's not a 40k fan completely lost.
Okay, let me explain the Horus Heresy for everybody that doesn't like 40k. Daddy issues.
And demonic possession.
And nobody now cares.
Like, literally, the Horus Heresy is the biggest daddy issue ever.
Yes, but that's not going to intrigue anybody to learn more about it. At all.
No, but you focus on Nathaniel Garrow. You talk about the events surrounding him. Recruits the Ultramarine Librarian, where the Ultramarine has to do this thing and blow shit up, and then his company betrays him, essentially. Well, they don't betray him, they just hate him. And he's just like, yeah, this is happening all across the Imperium because of this thing. And you don't ever have to explain it. That would just be a tidbit for those who actually know the lore.
But wouldn't that be more deserving of a television series instead?
Actually, HBO doing the Nathaniel Garrow series would be amazing.
Yeah, I think because Garrow's so, intertwined with basically everything. Like, Garrow's at Istvan 3, and then it's Flight of the Eisenstein, and then he's with the Knights Errant, so he's involved in Calth, he's involved with Molech, he goes back to Istvan. He's massively involved in so many things.
But that's what I think you need to focus on, is somebody that's involved in all of these things so that you can do nods to them and talk about them
Yeah,
while simultaneously focusing on one character.
Yeah, but I don't think you'd do Calf with Garrow. I think you'd have to do Istvan.
Theo with Calf.
With Calf, maybe, yeah, you do Aeon Theo. Or hell, if you want to go big scale, you maybe look at Gilliman and just like try and do a Primarch. It's bloody difficult.
No, Primarchs could not be good characters for movies. It's like a Superman movie. It's bad.
What about Loken?
Loken would be an interesting one. Loken would be a good way to... I think Loken is the best character to focus on because that's basically what the first 3 books are.
And plus you can dive into detail in regards to, when he went kind of mad over the grief of loss of his best friend.
Yeah, you can easily make the first act, maybe the first 2 acts even, is the run-up to and the battle at Istvan 3. Act 1, probably False Gods and Horus Rising. That's in the wrong order, but you know what I mean. Maybe you skip the first part of Horus Rising and have him just be a Mournival member and go.
Or...
Then you...
go finish.
Sorry. Yes, but you do that. You set up, then Act 2 is Istvan 3 itself. You have the Dropset Massacre. Everything is sort of set up. You don't have to go into huge amounts of detail because basically, other than those who have read False Gods, or if they decide to expose what happened with Horus, Loken doesn't really know why it's happened. It's just happened. And then Act 3, you get Garrow, you introduce that, you set up the Knights Errant, and if you want to go super long, you go to Molech, or you do a jump. But you could easily end it at his recruitment into the Knights Errant and his resolution there. If that sets up a sequel, well, you do Caliban, you do Molech, and then you just wrap up Loken's story somewhere, but that requires a judgy writer.
Alternatively, in regards to a 40k movie, do one focused on the Deathwatch?
Deathwatch would be cool.
A Deathwatch kill team. You have a bit of an introduction, say a little bit of introductory spiel saying who the Deathwatch are, and you can have, because it's Deathwatch, you can have a small kill team with, say, 5 characters from different chapters, so you've got these wildly different character personalities, like you could have, a Blood Angel, a Space Wolf, an Ultramarine, that kind of thing.
A Rainbow Warrior.
Yeah, there needs more Rainbow Warriors. And you can have them go up against... Essentially, if you have, sequels to that, you can have them going up against entirely different races. You can have, Gene Stealers for the first one, Orcs, Eldari, that kind of thing. There's options.
That would be cool. But I personally think you need to take more of a human element into that. I would say Dark Heresy. Go with Inquisitorial Acolytes. Humans.
The Inquisition is probably the safest bet.
This way you can explain what an astropath is, what a psyker is, why they're so radically different. And all of these other things. But a cool movie, this I personally think would be amazing if done correctly, is Abaddon. The whole the Legion Wars after the Horus Heresy. It's all you need to do is put the Horus Heresy happened. This shit's happening. And
that comes with a huge asterisk if it's done properly, because the Legionary War
and
messy.
The Legion War is massive, but the book series tends to cut it up. Cuts it up into manageable sections. And if you're focusing on strictly Abaddon, he doesn't take part in the Legion War, so you can have these epic, grand space battles, and then you pan on what he's doing on Planet Killer.
Sorry, Alexis, could you repeat that? Sorry, you just cut out a little bit.
Oh, well, you talk about the Legion Wars and everything, and you show these epic space battles and everything involving the super vessels of 40k. But you actually pan over to Abaddon, and that's where your focus is going to be, is Abaddon's rise and his creation of the Black Legion. In fact, in the sequels, you can talk about the Demon Primarchs. And you have this all being told from the perspective of Kion, who's sitting on Terra talking to the Inquisition.
Yeah, I think, as you said, it comes with the asterisk of if done correctly. It could work. That would require a really deft hand to make it work.
I think if they get the right actor for Abaddon, it could work. Abaddon is a really cool character, minus the memes, to which everybody's now going to be like, you mean fell without the armless, the person who didn't win any of the Black Crusades? Meh, 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 meh.
Rob Schneider is the leader of the Black Legion, and now he's heading to Terra. Rob Schneider is Abaddon. Rated PG-13.
Are you done with that South Park plug right there?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Are we done with the movie tie-ins now?
Yeah, sure. The Traitor Primarchs actually gives you a nice little tie into the Slaves to Darkness, with all the Traitor Primarchs on one book cover.
We have Fulgrim looking like the Joker.
They all look silly, in my opinion. I'm sorry.
Angron looks alright, but Lorgar looks like he has jaundice.
I can't help but think, like, Horus looks the most silly.
No, that's Fulgrim looks the most silly.
That's Fulgrim.
Fulgrim just looks so small.
He looks like the Joker.
Just scaling him down to fit on the bloody cover, that's all. I mean, Angron's a massive winged demon killing machine, but he's just in the background, so you don't see it. Fulgrim's front and centre, so they just have to scale him down to fit on the damn screen.
Yeah.
And Perturba's there too, with bright green eyes.
Then again, they're demon Primarchs, so they can change their shapes and everything as much as they want.
True.
Yet no Mortarion, Magnus, or Alfarius. Quote unquote.
Yeah, Alfarius I understand not being there. Magnus, seeing as the push for Terra, I understand not being there because he's got his own shit going on with the whole shard business. The fact there's no Mortarion is interesting.
They forgot about him. Just like Nurgle. Mortarion is dumb.
And yet you play Death Guard.
I played Nathaniel Garrow Death Guard.
Though to make up for the lack of Mortarion on that cover, the Death Guard did get their own cover that looked much, much better.
Yes, with the Brotherhood of Silence, is it?
The book's called Lords of Silence. Whether that's going to be... I think the warband is called The Silence. I think there's a warband of Nurgle called The Silence, but I don't remember them being Death Guard.
Because I like their sigil literally being the lips with the finger to it going shh.
It's a different way of doing it, and it's interesting why they've gone with that. Like, I don't mean like why the writers have gone with that. It's like, why would a warband of Plague Marines go with silence as their gimmick?
Well, that's Mortarion's weapon, isn't it?
Well, yes, it's Mortarion's weapon, but I don't know. Why would you name yourself a one weapon when I don't know?
Maybe they're just going shh, just be silent and just let this take you. Just sit back and take it and think of England.
I'm not going to comment.
So that's a way of looking at it.
Prove me wrong.
She really wants to prove you wrong right now.
They're just going, we got these new STDs, we've gone from Slaneshi cultists. Nurgle really appreciates them.
Moving right along.
Yeah. So, in terms of general discussion, since we've got a bit of time to kill, is there anything that you've been working on worth raising?
I'm working on the Gene Stealer cult and looking at the hilarious wording on the tactical reserves, which the inclusion of a certain word makes it one rule if you read it by proper English. And I'm trying to point it out to people, but everybody's like, no, you're wrong. And I'm just like, actually, I'm right. But I know the spirit of the rule. I'm going to be doing something different with my Gene Stealer cult.
Yeah, it's a very abstract case of rules. It's actually a very obvious case of rules as written to the bloody finicky versus rules as intended.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Well, at one time you could take multiple Celestines.
Oh, I love taking multiple Celestines. I mean, that was fun. I had 2 of them on the field at once.
Which got nerfed very quickly.
And
Well,
rightly
yeah,
so.
here's our super unkillable Death Angel that we made better and better. Oops.
No, there's two of
We
them.
have two.
2? Why stop there?
Rob Schneider is Celestine. Rated PG-13.
Stop.
Does that mean Rob Schneider gave Corn head?
Yeah. He said, you can do
We're
it.
moving on quickly because God, stop it.
Hey, guard, you can chop off my head. You can do it. No longer rated PG-13.
Okay.
God damn it, Rob. Oh.
I think I broke her.
Okay. And actual things that I'm working on. I do want to expand my Genes to the Cult a little bit. Try them out again. Maybe they won't be garbage. I kind of want to stop playing my... Oh, go ahead.
Oh, they can't have got much worse because they seem to be very near the bottom of the barrel before the nerf. So...
Yeah.
So when are they going to release Aberrants on their own?
Never. Like, legit, the Aberrants are just so stupid.
I mean, hopefully they might release them when the Gene Stealer Cult Codex comes out.
Yeah, that's true.
That'd be nice. Anything on your end, Rem? Anything you've been reading or...
Well, finding out that pantomimes exist in 40k where little kids, go on stage and use live weapons on each other. That was
just
funny.
seems standard.
Yeah, because I just started reading Faith and Fire today, and in the church, little kids dressed up as Sisters of Battle and Elder, and they're using actual guns on each other on stage, killing each other, and it's like, okay.
The Imperium of Man, everybody.
So, oh, look at little Susie. Oh, she just blew up that little kid's head.
I mean, I'd be proud of my daughter if she did that.
So, oh no, Susie lost her legs.
It happens.
Yeah.
Who got that kid a bolter?
Wow. Privileged much?
Damn rich kids.
Deary me.
Oh, man. No, that's pretty funny.
It's a thing.
Anyway, are we ready for questions?
Yes, have you got them up?
Yes, I do.
In that case.
Okay, these ought to be funny. Question for Alexis. Would you ever do a co-op campaign of Dawn of War 2 with Remleiz or Michael? And anything planned for the 50th episode? We're probably going to do a live stream for the 50th episode, depending.
Yeah.
If not, get a bunch of guests on.
Why not both? Again.
If it's on my computer, I can handle it. If it's on either of yours...
If it's on mine, we might need to shuffle you around the order. My software's just not up to it.
Yeah. Why don't I live stream Dawn of War 2? Dawn of War 2's engine is just god-awful and doesn't like to be streamed. You can record it, but you can't really stream it. I don't know. It's a lot of hassle to get Dawn of War 2 working for more than an hour.
It's better than Dawn of War 3.
Yes. Okay. Question for Michael. I'm not
Alright.
reading this one.
Good. Good.
It was no longer rated PG-13, I take it.
That was about
basically,
last week and how he was beating off Tyranids.
basically, I'm the fall guy for saying accidentally stupid shit or setting you up for ridiculous. That's basically my job.
Well, yeah, but
Okay,
we've been for
let's
about
see.
a couple of years now.
Yeah, fair point.
Nope, not reading that one.
Would it be worth you reading the questions before you start reading them out loud?
Yep.
Yeah, that's the fun part. Well, we have a lot of questions on this one, so.
Well, that's good.
First question, why does Alexis argue for the sake of arguing? Because it's fun, silly. Don't think you know how Slaanesh works. Question, what can Forge World do to save 30k? 30k is a good event game, but it's not a really good pick-up-and-play game. Not a lot of people play it.
That's true.
What can Forge World do to save the game? Simple. Well, not really simple. Very, very cost inefficient. Build more Forge Worlds around the countries. Like, if we had a Forge World in America, it would make the cost of shipping a hell of a lot cheaper, and more people would buy it.
Yeah, I think cost is definitely one of the issues. The problem is 30k is, I don't know if this is quite the right word, but it's the purist game now. It's the hardcore gamer game, because 40k and AOS are easy to learn, hard to master games, which is great, but 30k is that step above now.
Speaking of master, hey Michael, how can you even beat off Tyranids? I don't think that's how they reproduce.
Show off. War Portal. The moment you said that, I just knew this was going somewhere bad, so I just know.
Why is the reason given? God, this question is written badly. Why the reason given for Logar's ascension to demonhood isn't orchestrated? Okay, this question is really badly worded. Logar's ascension has to do. You know what? I'm done. I tried.
I think what I caught of that, it sounds like, what's the reason behind Lorgar's ascension?
The atrocities committed by his legion under his orders.
Yes.
Cop out.
What do you guys think of the chances of Sly Marbo becoming a living saint after he dies? Well, considering he has done quite amazing feats.
Like what?
Like in the Star of Terror more times than most people have had hot dinners.
Meh. He's not going to be he's less likely to be a saint than Yarrick.
Yeah, this is also a thing that some people, and maybe not everybody knows, and there's conflicting information. There is a difference between a saint and a living saint. Just not everybody sometimes knows the difference. For example, Macarius is a saint, but he's not a living saint like Celestine.
And if you want to learn more about this,
a saint can be alive, they can be living, but a saint that's living is not necessarily a living saint.
If you want to learn more about living saints, please check out my channel, where I cover quite a few of them. And I plan to cover all of them.
Like
I also
today.
did living saints a long time ago.
If you want more current video, I'm just messing.
To be fair, that video is that it is one of my first actual proper videos. So
if you want a video done by a sexy Viking,
that's me.
No, it isn't. No.
But yes, whether Sly Marbo becomes a living saint is one thing. I think he might well be honoured with sainthood. Yes, because, like, honest to God, that man is ridiculous. But I don't think he'll become a living saint, i.e. he'll resurrect again and just be around constantly doing shit a la Celestine.
Actually, the only living saint to ever resurrect themselves multiple times is Celestine.
Sabbat?
Yeah, I was going to say Sabbat.
Sabbat only came back twice and was armor. Celestine's come back 4 times now. And none of the other living saints have done it.
One of the times Sabbat came back, it wasn't through armor. She just flat out, her essence just possessed someone.
A little girl.
Yeah.
Yes, Sabbat's sort of the exception that proves the rule, almost. Like, Celestine's an interesting one, and Sabbat's the extra.
Question for Alexis. If special characters have predetermined warlord traits, by the same logic of both lore and gameplay perspective, shouldn't they also have predetermined psychic powers where applicable? I believe so. I personally think you should buy psychic powers and pay points for them. Think 5th edition.
I thought in the 5th edition you paid for levels. rather than...
Nope, you paid for the power.
Yeah, the only armor I was playing in 5th at the time was all RNG to power, and you upgraded for a reroll. But yeah, I just you just paid for mastery levels back then. Oh, I don't remember.
I think you paid for both mastery level and psychic powers. Since we know Sigmar couldn't be a Primarch because he had a human mother, could he possibly be a sensei? No, his father died on the battlefield.
Also, I know there was the whole Drago incident. They're two separate universes at the point, knock it off.
Never. Was Gord Van Dyer corrupted by chaos? Maybe. But more than likely he was just a heretic.
Yeah, that's something. The Imperium may not draw the line between a heretic, but I think if you analyze Van Dyer full on, I think maybe at the start he was a well-intentioned.
Yeah, but that's exactly how Zinch operates.
Yeah, that's true.
He was more than likely a servant of Zinch without even realizing it.
Isn't that everybody?
No. Not if you do things for your own gain. And your Slaanesha's domain. Or if you murder for the sake of murdering.
True.
Then you're torn.
Yeah. As for Van Dyer himself, I think it's possible that Van Dyer was corrupted. It's debatable whether he was. There's no evidence to say he was, but there's also no evidence to say he wasn't. Because ecclesiarchs have been known to be, well, there was the one who wanted to surrender to the beast, and just thought we should just worship the beast or something. So it's hard to say.
I, for one, welcome our new Xenos overlords.
Okay. This one I thought was interesting, and I wanted to bring up. Alexis, the demons in Black Legion were manifested in ice space, not the warp. They still need a physical form, but they do not. But they are not naturally solid. They actually are not physical at all. I know it seems weird, but the demons themselves are not physical. They can take physical hits, which sounds weird, but you're disrupting their current form. Now, this is different, however, for things like Secondborn, Possessed, and Khitan. But normal demons, like lesser demons and just fiends and hounds, they are not physical at all. But they can affect the world around them as though they were physical. In fact, your mind tells you that they are physical when you try to hit them. Which is also why close combat weapons tend to do more against them, is because you actually have feeling behind it, and it's actually your feelings that are hurting the demon, not necessarily the weapon, unless it is a nemesis weapon or a force weapon, which is a warp-powered weapon.
Or just use, Fabius Baal's Needler.
Yep.
That just melts demons.
Now, this is different, however, for Nurgle demons, which they tend to be more possessed and actually based on physical things. But Slaaneshi demons are not physical at all. But this is, again, different for possessed.
With regards to Nurgle, the way that they've always been described, particularly with plague bearers, is they're formed from the souls of those who succumb to Nurgle's rot. There's no indication of anything to do with the body. They're just the soul essence coalesces in the warp into a plague bearer. Ergo, how are they any more physical than a bloodletter?
True. Well, I know Nurgle does a lot of possessing.
That's true, and with the whole zombie gimmick of Nurgle, and I mean, as well, with Nurgle, they act biologically, with the whole innards spilling out, that sort of thing. They certainly come across more physical than specifically a Zinchian demon, which barely obeys the laws of reality and appearance anyway. So,
yep. But literally, you could do just as much with a bolter as shouting no to a demon. And I'm not kidding about that. If you want an actual source for that, look at the Dark Heresy books, when you can deny demons from being in reality.
How does this explain, the Hive Fleet that's evolved to fight, warp creatures, because clearly they won't have any emotions to use.
Tyranids do have emotions.
That's kind of true, actually, because in the Devastation of Bar, when the fix breaks out, you can hear basically the entire Hive Fleet just started screaming. Mm-hmm. So it can feel pain.
Yeah, but every animal can feel pain, regardless of how emotionally developed they are.
Remleiz, I point you to the Doom of Malantai. Tyranids have adapted to fight things based on souls. Demons are nothing more than, soul energy, so if the Tyranids really need to, they can use and re-weaponize their Shadow in the Warp to affect demons, and thus using their own weaponry, like the Devourers and things like that, to fire and disrupt the regal space around their in-physical bodies to banish them back to the warp.
The other question regarding demons and physicality is, particularly for demon princes, is armor. Because if a demon prince ascends, whatever happens to their physical form and their body, that's one thing. Their armor is
their
still
armor
there.
Is no more physical than they are. Demon princes without armor versus demon princes with armor are just as tough as each other.
It just makes little sense that when a demon prince transforms, their physical form transforms, yes, and their armor is warped with it.
Well, that's because their own perspective on their body changes. So it's part of their mind trying to adjust for the changes, trying to justify the changes. So think about it like this. I'm wearing Terminator armor when I'm starting my transformation. Well, my armor when I'm a demon prince is going to look like heavily warp mutated giant Terminator armor. But it is a demon prince can't take off their armor. They can be resummoned without it because at that current moment, maybe they're not thinking about it. You also got to remember demons are ever-shifting creatures. Nothing about them stays the same. We only see similarities between them based on what people have told each other. Like demonettes in corsets versus demonettes bare-ass naked. Like, model-wise, yeah, they're all in, corsets and lingerie and very tight, sexy clothing. They probably stole it from my wardrobe. Anyway, that clothing is no more physical than their actual skin. But if I swung a weapon at them and thought this will cut their clothing off, chances are, if my will is stronger than the demons, it will cut their clothes off.
And yet, okay, fine, that makes sense. And then you have juggernauts who are literally they're kind of almost not demons. They're giant brass killing machines.
They're still demons.
And then you get Fabius Spartans able to milk demons.
But they're made of a physical material. They're made of brass armor.
Then they're possessed.
Right.
Demons can possess things that are inanimate and animate them. I.e., a keeper of secrets possessed a church.
Yeah, that's true.
Turned the entire church into a keeper of secrets.
No, I thought just turned the church into a giant crab.
Well, I would assume it's still a keeper of secrets. Anyway, giant demon.
Yeah, I think the moral of the story is demons are confusing. It's a little bit hard to get your head around, but just roll with it.
Well, actually, the whole thing is you don't... if you want to beat a demon, you don't just roll with it. You go, nuh-uh, that's not how reality works. My will is stronger than yours, and they will cease to exist.
Yeah, good luck with that. I mean, you're right, but good luck with that.
If you guys would like to know more about demons, please look into the Dark Heresy books. They explain them very well. That's for the audience, not you guys. You guys have probably already read them.
Next question.
Okay. God, that came up because of not even a question, too. That was a good one. Question: what is your favorite character model, excluding Forge World? Mine, Celestine.
Cypher.
I don't know. I really don't, because there are a lot of really good models, but a lot of them I'm biased toward them. Like Farsight, I'm heavily biased toward Farsight because he looks amazing, but he's also like one of my favorite characters, full stop.
That reminds me, have you ever seen the model of the Fire Warrior from the Fire Warrior game? They actually had an official model for a time.
No?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, it was literally only available for a brief time. Like, you had to send them away via mail order and send them proof that you purchased the game, and it was like a little metal model.
Okay.
Same with the Ultramarines movie. There was, for a very brief time, you get models of Chaplain Karnak. You know, John Hurt's character.
Why would you want that?
If you have one of those, do let us know. I'd be very interested to see if anybody actually has one.
Oh, by the way, this question, Michael, is just what's your favorite 40k model? Character model.
Yeah.
If that is your favorite character model, then it doesn't matter if you have a bias towards it.
Yeah, it probably is. I've just wanted to try and be objective.
There's being objective, and then there's picking your favorite.
Fair point.
Speaking of models, have you guys ever encountered like a model that there's a newer version of the character out, but you actually prefer the older model?
Typhus.
Because one model I really enjoyed the original version of, but I hate the current version, Lilith Hesperax. I don't like the current model, but the third edition model was fucking awesome.
I quite like the new version. I mean, I don't remember the old version really at all.
The old version, she had like a big trident and a whip, and she had like she was pretty much just in full-blown dominatrix gear, essentially, with the domino mask and everything.
Right.
It looked awesome, though. Like, she looked a lot more imposing rather than just, someone, leaning back. Essentially. She looked like she was going to fucking fuck you up.
Does the Tyranid Hive Tyrant count?
You prefer the second edition version? Or the third edition version? Which looked like an alien queen?
Yeah, I really like that model.
Yeah, as I said, for me personally, it's Typhus. Like, the old Typhus, the metal resin, whichever it was version, it looked like he was just coming to get you. The new one is just overdone to all hell, in my opinion.
30k one's better, though.
And the 30k one's even better again, yes.
Question. According to Alexis, Sisters beat Space Marines, so does that mean Imperial Guard beats Sisters and Space Marines? In a war of attrition, yeah, kind of. Well, actually, no. Ironically, Imperial Guards, lasguns, regardless of how many times they shoot it, will never penetrate Space Marine armor. Unless
they get a joint or an eye or...
Yeah, and sheer volume.
It just can't penetrate Space Marine armor.
It's been documented as penetrating joints and vision slits.
Like, it's very unlikely. Like, they have a better chance of throwing grenades at Space Marines than...
Yes, but the argument of numbers is the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but getting behind that Space Marine is going to be very difficult.
Not if he's charging you and wading through you with a chainsaw when he runs out of ammo.
That's true.
And besides, if he gets too close, fix bayonets.
Which is actually more likely to kill them than anything else, probably.
I mean, don't forget, there's also...
The Spaceman can react so much faster than a bunch of Imperial Guards.
There's also been documented cases of Imperial Guard killing Space Marines with rocks. Like, literally just smashing a rock over a Space Marine's head.
Actually, I think my favorite was the Power Shovel. Nothing will ever beat an Elysian with a Power Shovel.
So there you go, it is possible then.
Was that Elysian called Triple H?
No, he killed a Chaos Space Marine without a helmet on. I mean, most of the time when Space Marines die, they're not wearing their helmets because they're retarded.
Well, in fairness, a helmet kind of blocks off your peripheral vision.
It does, but the auger arrays inside your helmet are much better than your peripheral vision.
Not according to the Space Marines, apparently. Otherwise, they would keep them on at all times.
They do. They should.
They should, but they don't.
I know, but that's because they're dumb.
It's interesting as well, speaking about like vision slits and joints and things like that, because that's much more of a thing with Mark 7 armor, which obviously is the most common these days. But if you look at, Mark 2, which had a lot of overlapping armor, and Mark 8 had the neck gorget, and Mark 10, which kind of works, well, the Primaris armor, which works them all in. While we taking your Primaris down, even discounting the better biology, is way, way harder just because the armor has less weak points.
Mm-hmm. Okay, question for Alexis. Since you've done a Tau demanding the surrender of an Imperial world, how does the Dukari addressing a planet she has decided to raid sound like? I will do a video on this in the near future. Question for Alexis. Do you think when we...
What?
I'm not going to read that one. That one's silly. Question for Alexis. When will you do your next stream with double go-go juice Twitch streaming? Slightly drunk Alexis is fun. Aww. I'll do one soon. I have to get some more. That reminds me, do you guys drink at all?
I can't on my medication for my spine.
I don't.
No. And Michael's a git.
I thought it was a
And
towel.
also with a level.
Oh, I mean, let's weigh our options here. Git, Tau, roughly the same type of insult.
And also
That's
better
important,
off
actually.
financially.
That's a point, actually. Because the orcs have, actual words to describe different races, like, Nids are called bug eyes, squats are called stunties, Eldari are called pansies. What do they call Tau?
I don't think it's ever been documented. I'm not, because the Orc Codex has not really had a dialogue involving a Tau, and obviously the Tau Codex is never going to document it either. I don't believe it's ever come up. I think.
They just run at them screaming "Dabu G Dabu Die."
I mean, they even have, a term used to describe, Mechanicus robots. They call them Tim Boys.
They also have one for stunties for squats.
Yeah, I already said that.
Oh, I'm sorry, I wasn't listening.
And for mutants, or gene stealer orcs, they call them things.
Yeah, the Orcs have a name for just about everything. We just don't know the.
We even know the orc word for funfair. It's called a razzer.
Because of course we do.
I mean, we know the orc word for funfair, but not Tau.
But to be fair, the Tower, in terms of everybody else, they're quite developed in and of themselves, but in terms of everybody else relative to them, the other factions don't really refer to them a lot. I know that's probably an indicator of many things, but there you go.
I just find it funny that the orcs still refer to Space Marines as beakies.
Old habits die hard.
Indeed.
Particularly
All right.
that passes everything on my word of mouth. But anyway.
If you were to write, if you were a Black Library writer, and were given the go-ahead to kill the Emperor, and the solar system became the new Eye of Terra, but they said the Imperium must survive with the same 4 Chaos Gods and Chaos Space Marines and Primarchs, how would you save the Imperium, and at the same time explain how the 4 Chaos Gods and their servants survived the release of the Emperor's spirit into the warp?
Imperium Secundus 2.0.
Yeah. For me, what I would do is have Abaddon go ahead and get his Black Crusade all the way up to Kara. Have this huge epic final fight where Abaddon barely makes it into the throne room. Custodians are trying to stab him and everything, whatever. Hurls Dyrachnion into the Emperor, destroying the Emperor's body. Dyrachnion gets obliterated in the ensuing psychic shockwave. The Imperium goes dark. But at the last possible moment, the Sisters of Silence show up with the Black Stones and place them around Terra to contain the actual, the Eye of Terra from opening up. But it does open up momentarily, but then starts to shrink as it is beaten by the Necron technology of Black Stone. While simultaneously waiting about a year, the Emperor reconstructs his body, pulling himself back out of the warp a la Look at Lion, for instance, who pulled himself out of the warp. Pulls himself out of the warp, forms his new body, retakes the golden throne, sits back down, and everything stays exactly the same.
Okay, not sure about whether that fits the exact brief they wanted about wipe out terror in the solar system, but a very interesting way of doing it. And I'm not sure how. I don't know how I'd write it because I'm not that good at writing, honestly.
All right, next question.
I mean, if I were to do it, let's be arbitrary about it. Imperial Secunda Smart 2 is a way to do it. The other option is the problem you've got if you actually do kill Terra is how do you work? How the hell do you work around that?
Well, there's more Genomicons.
True, but you haven't got an Emperor to power the bloody thing.
Just say that another Pharos beacon's discovered near the Ultramar Empire, and you're laughing.
True, you need power. You probably need one in the north, but yeah, probably.
Then you need somebody like a masterclass psyker like Tigurius or Mephiston to sit on it.
Well, yeah, but no, but the Pharos worked as a guide even when nobody was piloting it.
Oh, that's even easier.
Yeah, because wasn't it rumored to be Old One tech or something?
I don't know. I'd have to brush up on the Pharos.
Also, wasn't it also when Dantiok or was it Pollux managed to reach through a mirror and drag Guilliman through onto Sotha through a mirror or something weird like that?
Was that how it worked?
Pretty much.
Yeah, obviously.
I feel like one of the two saved the other by pulling some sort of jumpy trick.
Yeah, literally just reached out through this mirror and pulled him through. And then Kurz was like, "What?" Or was that after? No, that was after. Was that after Vulcan tackled Kurz out the window?
I can't remember.
That was a cool scene though. Kurz just charging and just tackling. Sorry, Vulcan coming in and tackling Kurz out the window. That was awesome.
Yeah, this was still broken Vulcan, wasn't it?
Yeah, who had stolen a set of Ultramarines' armor and beat it with his bare fist to fit him. So he's wearing his custom-made patchwork suit of Ultramarine armor.
Yeah, Vulcan's an interesting one.
Vulcan lives stomp stomp. Except he probably...
Are the traitor Primarchs still bound by their oaths to not talk about their two fallen brothers?
No.
They probably just
chose not to.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, Fulgrim spoke to Flavius Alcunex about one of the lost Primarchs, which was a story that Alcunex told Bile. So, clearly they're not bound by any oath.
Yeah, they're probably just. It's interesting with the traitor Primarchs how easily they get distracted, because that was the whole thing with Fulgrim. It was sort of Angron's thing, and Mortari's thing. They just got distracted and got embroiled in the politics of the great game. So why would they bother reminiscing about two random dudes 10,000 years ago who they probably barely or even didn't know in some cases?
And Remleiz, this question is for you, but you already answered it. Does anyone except the Emperor and Guilliman know about the lost Primarch/Legions, which you just answered? On
the Imperial side, though, it's interesting to say who would. Obviously, the Custodes will, because all will burn alive.
The Inquisition would, the High Lords of Terra would, one would presume.
The High Lords, I don't know. The Inquisition, I think, almost certainly would have some knowledge of it. But I don't know the rest of the High Lords. Unless Guilliman decided to be all chatty about it.
All right, what's the time looking like?
We're about an hour and 20 minutes in.
Okay.
Okay.
Hey guys, I hope you're doing good. Well, thank you. We are. Except for Michael. He's doing cow. It's weird.
Why is he not beating off Nids?
Yeah, I mean, his hobbies are very weird. I mean, Michael, this might be an intervention for you.
Yeah, that sounds like a really good idea with two people who can't stop laughing about stupid memes and jokes that they make for themselves and make it even worse. That sounds the perfect group of people, doesn't it?
I think so. Don't you, Rem?
It sounds just like the Alpha Legion.
Ha. Okay. In Total Warhammer, the orcs utilize a glider catapult to fly Gretchens over their enemies and crash them into.
Yes.
Yeah. I was wondering if the 40k Imperial Guard could be allowed to have gliders similar to that for air raids, Elysian drop troops.
Alternatively, just, stick some rattlings on catapults.
Yeah.
And if you're wondering why the orcs don't have one, I give you the shock attacker.
They actually do have one back in 2nd edition, was it?
They have mortars, the lava.
No, I mean, they actually have an orc catapult that shoots squigs at people.
It's squig catapult, yeah. But it was like jars of squigs, or buzzer squigs, which are like wasps.
Not quite the self-guided Doom Diver.
And they're self-guided once they break out.
Yes, but that's when they break out, which is after impact.
Question: what is your predictions for the plot surrounding Belisarius' call? In Dark Imperium, Guilliman predicted him eventually becoming a problem due to his ambitions to become the Fabricator General of Mars.
Well, that's easy. He's actually Alfarius.
Anyway, Belisarius' call might actually start a coup on Mars. So there's that you might need to look out for. Or Belisarius' call might start his own empire.
I think either the one of the two. I think conceivably they could do many, many things. Realistically, I think they're either going to give him what he wants eventually, or they're going to have Guilliman kill him off. I don't think they're going to turn him heretic.
I personally don't think he's going to die. Like, he's far too important to die.
Maybe
he's too busy to die.
Maybe just rip his head off and just stick it plugged into a computer and just tell him, right, you're going to be doing this now, but I don't want to do this. You're going to be doing it, otherwise you won't get a body ever again. Okay.
Yeah, I don't see him going heretic. I really don't. Like, as much as you're right, he's probably too big to kill. He's kind of like, him going traitor is even less likely than the Primaris going that for another 12 months at least.
Yeah.
I'm afraid I can't do that, Rabute.
Question. Would you rather have a re-release Orca Morka as an expansion for Necromunda or as its own standalone game?
Standalone game.
Standalone.
No question. Standalone.
Yeah. Question for Alexis. Considering how often Michael swears and indulges in... Yes, I'm just going to say, yes, I am making him fall to Slaanesh. Don't worry. It's happening.
Plot twist, he's actually falling to Malice.
Well, his hair is crazy enough.
What?
That's out of line. That's out of line.
I will brush your hair and put product in it. Let me take care of it. Anyway, question for Remleiz. Do you think Call had anything to do with the 21st Cursed founding?
Yes. I did a video on the Sons of Antaeus possibly being part of the prototype Primaris, essentially. So, yes.
Is it bad that every time I have to do a Loyalist fighting Loyalist where one side has Primaris Marines, my justification is this is M39. Belisarius' Call is taking them out for testing.
No, I don't think that's bad.
That's not a bad call. The 21st founding is a really interesting time.
It's not a bad call.
Dang.
That was a long pun even for you.
It was, but I'm still going to giggle at it like this. Can you tell that I haven't had much sleep?
Yes. Considering you found the Rob Schneider PG-13 thing absolutely hilarious for some reason.
Well, it was. If the Emperor is a chaos god, and the Legion of Damned are his lesser demons, what would be his greater demons? By the way, I love the Living Saint is possessed by... By the way, I think Living Saint would be possessed or Demon Prince. Yeah, I'd say Living Saints are his...
I'd say Living Saints would more like to be his greater demons. I mean, I pretty much did an entire video on that.
Really? No, like, actual just saints, not living saints.
Not saints, just living saints. Because
yeah, mine is the other way around, where possessed would be the saints. Demon princes would be the living saints.
Then who are the greatest?
Well, the greatest we'll have to find out. Oh, I guess that would be the Primarchs.
Speaking of the Legion of the Damned, what the fuck happened to Sergeant Centurius, who was like the only named character of the Legion?
We don't know, sadly.
And not only that, what happened to Sergeant Cluton, the Blood Angel Sergeant who was older than Dante? Because he was Dante's sergeant in the Scout Company and holds the Shroud of Sanguinius, which some people claim that he is a banner bearer. He is not a banner bearer because the Shroud of Sanguinius is in a fucking box.
Angry Rome is angry.
The luckily I did mention this to Guy Haley. I said, hey, will Cluton ever appear in a Blood Angel spec? And he said, he might now.
Excellent.
Actually, the regular greater demons might just be when the Emperor decides to manifest one of the Primarchs, which he did in Master of Mankind.
Wasn't that just more of a symbolic fireball attack more than anything else? Because it was just like, Ferrus Manus comes, hits, he's gone.
Yeah, but I wonder if he can maintain him. And because this is 40k, I'm inclined to think, yeah, because that's cool.
I just like to think it was just a fancy Falcon punch. It was like, Ferrus punch!
Also, where does the Sanguinor fit, if anywhere?
He is the Herald. That's pretty much been confirmed by Ruinstorm, because Sanguinius saw the Herald literally fall into a warp portal and then sprout wings.
Oh yeah, just like, if we're going with the Living Saint Demon Prince, Sanguinius, not Sanguinius, the Sanguinor fit into one of those categories, or is he standalone from all of them?
He's pretty much a standalone entity.
Fair enough.
Okay, next one. I have 2 questions. Wow, greedy much? Holy crap. I'm just kidding. If an orc is killed in the spore, and the spores release... Hang on, let me just read this really quickly to better...
If the orc is killed and its spores are released...
And if a person breeds them in a year, orc pops out of them like chest bursters? No. Second question, what are your opinions on making your own Space Marine chapter and how to do one properly? I actually did one completely of my own called the Sons of Garrow.
Deja vu.
Yeah. Actually, I want to address the orc's spores. Most current lore actually is that the orc has to be in the later stages of its life. It has to be a boy. This is, I know everybody's going to be like, Alexis, orcs start off as orcs or boys. They don't. They start off as youths. Youths don't release spores. Youths have to become boys before they start releasing spores. So you can theoretically kill the orc population without burning down the planet.
Also, who else remembers when orcs used to be marsupials?
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, Snipe and Whip, for that one. Also, you should check out that video. That was really good.
Oh, we gotta get those guys back on here.
Yes.
I love them. They are adorable. All right. For the second question, to make your own Space Marine chapter, try not to make them Mary Sue's. Try to make them... try not to have them interact with the real Space Marine chapters and real characters and real events that are going on in the 40k universe. And try to forge your own narrative with them. That's how I've always done it. Like, yeah, they're the Sons of Garrow. They're on Titan. But in M36, that's where the story actually begins. And it's them going out to the planet of Plavoska and then going from there to be put onto a penitence crusade.
Yeah, and the one piece of advice I would offer is basically don't make them just, the whole Mary Sue argument is kind of fair. Just, if you think that the story sounds a little far-fetched, even if it's within the realm of ultramarine possibilities, consider dialing it back. Be realistic with it, because otherwise they are...
And don't try and say things like they, have orc space marines mixed in with the chapter or something weird like that.
I mean, I don't mind if people do some weird things like, oh, these are my female space marines. It's like, okay, well, how I justified that is one of my captains, Captain Narastani of the 4th Company, Master of the Watch, she is given the title of captain. She is not a space marine. She is just treated as one, and she is a cyborg. All of her limbs have been replaced. Most of her internal organs have been replaced. She's more cyborg than human.
Basically just treated like Savona in The Emperor's Children.
Mm-hmm.
Or that one female space marine in Storm of Iron, who was once a female Imperial Guard officer who put on an Iron Warrior's possessed Chaos Space Marine armor and became a full-blown Chaos Space Marine. And then turned to a Bloodthirster and disappeared. The end. That happened, by the way.
I know. That's the best part.
I wonder what happened to her. I think there's a theory coming on.
If you had to invent a new Xenos army for 40k, what kind of species, race, civilization would it be, and how would it be played? Personally, I would do a race based on the Zulu people. I think that would be kind of ridiculously awesome, having them all with some type of power weapons. Just because I want Power Kapinga in my 40k universe.
So you just want to throw power penis knives?
Yes.
Power penis knife, go!
Nah, I'm just kidding. For creating the whole thing about creating a new race for 40k, even a new Xenos race, is most of the galaxy is kind of known at this point. And giant species appearing out of nowhere, yes, it is possible, but it would just be kind of forced. I feel like the current lore needs to be expanded a lot more rather than introducing something else.
The thing is, we've already got a lot of Xenos races in the fluff who have no tabletop representation at all. People like, the Torellians, the Ratgull, the Loxatl,
The Crud.
Yeah.
The Crew. I don't care about the...
Crew have tabletop representation. They don't count.
Yes, they have 5 models, but I'm talking about all of them.
That's more than the Sisters of Silence. Oh!
That is more than the Sisters of Silence. That 25% of a codex that was released is garbage.
My point is, we shouldn't make up a new Xenos race when we've already got Xenos races that could, quite frankly, have tabletop representation.
That's true. The one thing I'd say about the entire galaxy is pretty much known at this point. Kinda.
I'd say about 60%.
It's definitely not as much as you might be thinking, because the amount of space between the sectors of the Imperium is more than the Imperium put together. Most of that space is vaguely kinda empty. It's wilderness space, it's not very well connected, it's mostly just not much. But it's there. And there are worlds out there, like Elysia's one, for example. So
the whole idea of it was the major factors are known.
Oh yeah, major factions, like galaxy spanning, I agree with you. But in terms of getting a race in there, there's plenty of space for it.
I mean...
There is plenty of space for it, but it would just be annihilated by...
Well, look at the Tau. They weren't really discovered as an actual empire until relatively recently.
Yeah, I don't know. It feels like it would be too forced.
It would be very difficult to work, that's for sure.
I mean, again, people said the same thing in regards to the Tau when they were first introduced. It's like, why the hell are you introducing this new race? Where the fuck have they been hiding?
Behind a warp storm, actually.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but you know my point is what people get.
Oh, I get your point. I'm just saying that they had an answer ready for it.
And then before that, you had the Necrons, who were just, let's be honest, just retconned Chaos Androids. Don't get salty, they are.
And then you have the Dark Eldar, who, well, they had a pocket dimension to hide in, so fine.
Well, with the Dark Eldar at the time, you could have argued, because like in 2nd edition Eldar Codex, it was literally everything was in one codex. It was just under the generic umbrella term, and then 3rd edition they decided to split into off into actual 2 separate factions. You know, Craft World and Dark.
That's true.
And yes, I know the Necrons were originally in 2nd edition, but they were literally just like 4 models. You had the Warrior, the Lord, the Scarab, and the Destroyer. And they had no codex whatsoever. It was literally just like a 2-page spread in White Dwarf. Back when Necrons were like 53 points a model.
Yike.
But they were like toughness 5.
And to be fair, the 2nd edition had some very ridiculous stats, if I remember you telling us about this one time.
Oh, yes. I mean, did you ever see, Mephiston's stats in 2nd edition?
I feel like you talked about the Great Unclean one before, having like toughness 10 and stuff. I don't know, I can't remember. Let
me just tell you what Mephiston's stat line was in 2nd edition, because it was insane. So bear in mind, models at this time, human factions had a set movement of 4, okay? Mephiston, movement 6, weapon skill 8, ballistic skill 6, strength 7, toughness 6, wounds 4, initiative 9, attacks 4, leadership 10.
Yeah.
He was armed with a master-crafted plasma pistol and a force sword, and a bolt pistol and frag and crack grenades, as well as having a refractor field, and also having 2 special abilities, the Transfixing Glare, which basically means in order for someone to hit him in close combat, they have to pass a leadership test.
Fun.
And he also had the Blood Greed. So basically, which means he has to pass a leadership test. If he fails, he has to feed on the corpse. However, if someone attacks him while he is feeding, he then becomes subjected to Frenzy. Which, if you remember that rule, means he must charge the nearest enemy unit and his attacks are doubled, which means he'll have 8 attacks in close combat.
That's how Frenzy used to go?
Yep.
I knew Frenzy was like you had to charge the nearest thing, but wear off. That's how it was in like late fantasy.
In 2nd edition, Frenzy also doubled your attacks.
Jesus.
So, 8 strength 7 attacks in close combat.
If you fail a leadership test and get attacked.
Oh, yeah.
But yes, ouch.
And the refractor field obviously also gave him an additional saving throw of 5+, which is unmodified. Which means he can survive a hit from a las cannon. Oh, and he was also Psycho of Mastery level 4.
And nowadays, I think the only Mastery level 4 Psychos are Magnus, who's 5, Eldrad is...
Oh,
like,
and I forgot, his Force Sword added +2 strength.
Because point-click delete machine much.
So, 8 strength 9 attacks in close combat. He was going to kill everything in sight.
In all fairness, he's done that all the way up until 5th edition.
Not to this degree, I don't think.
Yeah, 5th edition he was pretty bad. Like, scary bad.
Yeah, I mean, Mephiston's always been something of a killing machine, but... yeah, that's very silly.
All right, next question. Can Forge World have their own regiments along with their Skitarii legions? Yes.
They already do.
Mm-hmm. Do any of you think we'll be getting special rules or chapter tactics for armies from Forge World? Yes.
Eventually, maybe.
I would love to see the Star Phantoms get their own, and the Minotaurs. Maybe the Carcharodons. Maybe. I kind of hate them. I think they're stupid.
Minotaurs, Red Scorpions, Carcharodons, they're the main 3 that I can think of.
Wait, so was the question? I must have missed that. Sorry, I was spaced out.
Yeah, it's not that important.
Yeah, should we get, like, chapter tactics and stuff for the Forge World unique armies?
Maybe in a campaign supplement.
Oh my
Eventually we will. Did the Imperial Soup armies not get faction-specific stratagems? Yes, they did. Now they don't. All right, I have a question for all of you. Guess if there is one in the next episode. With the big FAQ out, what beta rules that you want to be official? All of them. Better wording on a lot of them. All of them.
I feel like the alpha, the deep strike balance change will get toned down, though I'm not sure how they'll do it. Because I feel like the triple nerf was maybe too much, question mark?
I know.
All right.
Is there a location on social media for this podcast? We only have it on YouTube as of right now.
Yes, I've been meaning to get more episodes put on SoundCloud, but I've had some financial issues as of late, which means I had to diverge into getting a membership into other things instead. But I should be able to do so from next month, with luck.
Yeah, it's one of those things that we're sort of working on to try and... I've got all the episodes saved in a back catalogue, or all my episodes are saved in a back catalogue, and I'm sure you guys have got your own. So we can get them up somewhere quite easily.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's just we've got
also, I want to do a quick thank you to Atomic Space Bomb, who was helping in the comments by telling people to put question in front of their things, making it easier for us to find.
Yeah, there's people who do that, and I sometimes leave it on comments. So yeah, it's good for those people who do that. So thank you.
Give that man a successful chapter.
I was wondering about one thing I have been wondering about Macarius is, since he is an Imperial Saint, why can't he be brought back repeatedly like Celestine? Because he's a saint and not a living saint.
They tried bringing him back through cloning, and that didn't really work. Also, weird fact, they brought many clones of him. They made many clones of him, and half of them were female.
Because that makes sense.
Yeah,
because
40k science. 40k science.
Yeah, just don't try and assign science to 40k unless you kind of want an aneurysm.
So like, I will make this clone of the greatest general ever to grace the Imperial Guard. Why has he got tits? Fuck.
Well, one thing that I find really amusing is neophytes, when they start getting their augmentations and everything to become Space Marines, they don't do blood testing.
Yeah, that's weird.
Feel it. Actually, just speaking about that with blood and things, remind me of the Blood Angels. It's interesting that with Dante's origin story, people say that Dante fell into a year-long coma after he was recruited, but before he became a full-on scout, and that's true. He fell into a year-long coma, and he was screaming the names of Primarchs and demons and stuff like that. Quite why they didn't execute him, I don't know. That's another story for another day. But it seems like some people think that only happened to Dante. It doesn't. That happens to everyone. Dante was special because of what happened in his sleep, not the fact that he fell asleep. I think that people may not know that. It's just an interesting one. So what they do, I think they drink basically a chalice that's partly got Sanguinius' blood in it, and it knocks them all out.
Isn't it also mixed with like hallucinogens and stuff as well?
I don't know about hallucinogens, but it probably is, given that there's a percentage that die whilst they're asleep, and there's a percentage that just go insane while they're asleep, and then there's Dante, who should probably have been executed but wasn't, and then there's the rest. And also part of the Blood Angels recruitment protocol is you have to hold a vigil for 3 days straight without falling asleep. If you fall asleep, you're done. You're out. You're probably dead. It's just a weird one.
Okay, next question. What are your thoughts on Fabius Bile's clone of Fulgrim that he gave to Trazine, possibly returning to the Imperium as a loyalist? I actually have a huge thing about this because I view this as the perfect duality of Fulgrim. I personally think the new Fulgrim, the clone, is actually going to destroy the demon Fulgrim, and in so destroying himself.
I'll admit it would be cool to see Demon Fulgrim and Clone Grim go into a fight. It's like a big, like the good and evil nature of the soul dueling each other. But let's be honest, in a one-on-one fight, I think Demon Fulgrim is going to kill Clone Grim.
Maybe. Again, he's still a Primarch and has all the abilities of the Primarch.
But also doesn't have the experience.
Muscle memory.
Can only teach you so much.
I mean, with Drazine teaching him constantly...
I feel like it would be an interesting fight, but I don't think I could see the clone winning.
Actually, I can see the clone winning because Demon Fulgrim might want to die.
But he's a demon, he'll just be banished and then come back later.
Yeah, he doesn't have to say anymore.
Fulgrim figures out a way to destroy him. Like, actually destroy him and not banish him.
But
which Primarchs have done.
Isn't Demon Fulgrim just more focused on, his next high currently?
Not really. He's more, he's more about the perfection of battle and bloodlust and things like that and beauty.
And corrupting Guilliman.
And going after Guilliman to beat him again.
Yeah, I feel like, I don't think Demon Fulgrim, if you'd said this was able to restore Istvan 5 Fulgrim, he might want to die. But I don't think that modern Fulgrim does. Fulgrim's changed a lot for the worse.
Actually, that's the exact thing that I think is going to come up. Like, I could see this battle just being of the minds themselves. And watching Demon Fulgrim want to die would be like the coolest thing ever. Like, he's fighting through all of his regrets and everything, and he's pushing forward this belief that he did this because he actually wanted to, when in reality, he's doing this as a coping mechanism.
Because he was an idiot.
I mean,
because he was manipulated.
And an idiot.
He wanted to ascend bad enough to try and kill Perturaba to do so.
I still view Fulgrim as a tragedy. And I will always view him as a tragedy, mostly because the things that he's based off of.
Oh, I do view him as a tragedy, but not in a good way.
Oh, I do. Definitely a good way. I mean, he's hands down one of the best written Primarchs.
Best written? Yes. Best? No, in my opinion.
I'm just waiting for Comrade Curse to come back as an Eldar Wraith. And there is a basis for that. You'll see in a few weeks.
This is the one when Remleiz says sort of weirdly, almost implausible shit. You just know he's got a source backing him. It's more terrifying than that.
Oh yes, Wraith Haunter. That can be a thing.
Question for Remleiz: what would be your number one scenario for making Horn Blackheart the big top chaos villain?
Simple. He and Abaddon schedule a meeting to basically create another alliance between their forces because they've done that many times before, and then Huron just straight up murders him and takes control of the Black Legion.
Good luck.
That simple, huh?
If anyone could do it, Huron can. He is, out of all the other Chaos Lords, he is the only one who has a chance to do so.
Good luck.
Be one hell of a fight.
Oh yeah.
Abaddon has Dracnian.
And Huron has the Hamadria.
Yeah. It's not as strong as Dracnian.
No, not strong, no, but manipulative and scheming, yes.
Dracnian nearly killed the Emperor.
Yes. And then he got sent in prison.
By the Emperor.
Exactly.
I don't know.
I don't think straight up, if he actually went to the meeting and then actually Abaddon down, he could do it. He'd have to find a way to backstab him, but Abaddon is very intelligent with that sort of thing.
Well, Abaddon is insanely intelligent, insanely strong, and he's won almost every physical fight.
Also, don't forget, who's got the last Blackstone Fortress?
Huron.
Exactly.
Who doesn't know how to use the Blackstone Fortresses?
Abaddon.
Abaddon has used them.
I know, I'm being facetious.
He used them to detonate a sun.
Yes, I'm being facetious here, Alexis.
I know, but it's just Abaddon is my bro. You don't mess with Abaddon.
Yes, but Huron didn't fail a Black Crusade. Oh!
Huron also has a less of a record than Mariel Sabathiel.
Eh? What do you mean?
Mariel Sabathiel has went on 66 crusades and won all of them. Well, the source is herself saying that, but...
Well, there you go. I think if Huron was going to do it, he'd have to do it more as actual, rather than a straight up beat Abaddon down. He'd have to try and win like everyone. I think he'd be better off trying to win everyone else round and turn them. But that obviously gets Abaddon's attention, and then it ends in a beatdown.
I reckon Huron could recruit large enough forces, because don't forget, who are the majority of the recruits into the Red Corsairs? Loyalists, who turn. He convinces Loyalists to leave their chapter to join him. He's definitely got the skills and the charisma to build up an army.
The problem is, how could he do it quietly enough without Abaddon catching wind of it and bringing the Black Legion hammer down?
Well, where are they based? Abaddon's based in the Eye of Terror, Huron's based in the Maelstrom, pretty much opposite ends of the galaxy.
Ish, yeah.
You know, and especially given the incident with the Cicatrix Maledictum, and how, let's be honest, communications and warp travel is going to be slightly skewed around that area, he'd have an easier time to do it now than any other time.
If he was going to do it, yes, now is the best time to do it. But I think he'd either not be ready to take Abaddon in a fight by the time he was found out, or he'd have to try and win the Black Legion round, because the Black Legion will always outnumber the Red Corsairs, at least probably 2-1. But it's possible.
It's massive. But anyway, question for everyone: how is it possible that Cadia had all those pylons, and only had one, just lying around ages before the Eye of Terror was even a thing, given how the Necrons went into hiding millennia before the event? Did they just foresee, assuming they could, what would have happened and with the Eldar and Slaanesh? Also, is the ghost of a robot a machine spirit? Yes.
Well, in regards to the pylons, Cadia is not the only world to have a pylon.
Yeah.
There are multiple worlds with pylons, so there's always a possibility that these worlds that have pylons on them were sources of conflict during the War in Heaven, and because the old ones, used warp energy, these worlds that the Necrons took from the old ones, they erected a pylon so the old ones could not use their warp energy.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably 30% planning, 30% pot luck, and 30% experience, because it makes sense to scatter them.
I mean, I think in regards to Cadia, it was just more of a, lucky coincidence that there was a pylon there to begin with.
Yeah. What's interesting, though, is that a Chaos cult sprung up on that planet and was dominant on that planet, despite the suppression of the warp energy, which is, I know it's obviously a thing that can happen, which is interesting.
One thing that is quite interesting about the Necron tier is their ability to understand stars, maps, and other dimensions. They could have, in theory, predicted the exact spots warp storms would happen and piled their pylons there for the near future when they would eventually wake up.
The problem with that is, how could they have predicted the birth of Slaanesh?
Well, it's not that they predicted the birth of Slaanesh herself.
Because it was the birth that caused the warp tear.
But what they could have done is found a spot in real space where the connection to the warp was weaker, and that's where they put pylon.
But how would they find that? They have no sensitivity to it.
And not only that one point with the Eye of Terror. The Eye of Terror was also the heart of the ancient Eldari Empire.
I mean, getting one there would be... that wouldn't be too difficult if they teleported it there, placed it, and left, and then when they went to raid it, they activated the pylon to attack the Eldar that were there, but were beaten back, and they left the pylon there, and the Eldari were unaware of the pylons at the time.
It's an interesting one. It's definitely an interesting one.
Granted, the entirety of the War in Heaven needs to be rewritten because it has 5 different contradicting stories about it.
Not to mention there's 2 different versions of the War in Heaven. The one with the katana, one with Slaanesh.
Yep.
I didn't think it was Cinnamon, I thought it was with Cain.
So that again, Michael.
I thought the second War of Heaven that we know about is Vol and Cain.
Okay, so that's 3 then.
Because there's the War of Heaven of Eldar myth, which involves Cain, Eldanesh, and Vol.
There's also the War in Heaven involving the orcs attacking the Eldar gods.
That's a new one to me. What's that from?
It's from Wa orcs. It's just a mention of them attacking the Eldar gods. It also talks about how they smashed the Satan, which at the time there was only 3, and they killed 2 of them.
In Wa Orcs?
Yeah, and the older... It might not be Wa Orcs, it might be the Orcs 2nd edition book.
I was going to say, because running Wa Orcs the Catan weren't even a thing then.
Yeah, it's the older codexes where they talk about how the Catan... every race fears the Satan except for orcs, because orcs have no fear of death. Because their boss killed it.
I know it wasn't the 2nd edition Orc Codex, considering that in 2nd edition the only mention of the Catan was basically like a 1-sentence mention when detailing the Tyranids in Codex Imperialis, which basically said that the Nids were a greater threat than the Catan.
Well, I mean, everything's a greater threat than the Catan. They're just a fart cloud monster.
Do you know who else is a greater threat than the Catan, according to Codex Imperialis?
Who?
The Sahaduin. The shark people are a bigger threat than the Catan.
Oh, yeah! The Shardin. Don't look them up with safe search off.
Unless you like furry porn.
You did not need to say that.
No,
that is disgusting. I have lines and you just crossed it. I'm moving on to the next question. Yagatai Khan versus Jane Czar. Who would win?
Jane Czar.
Jane Czar.
Yeah, Jane Czar. Yagatai Khan is just dumb.
I mean, powerful, but...
It's gotta go fast.
If Logan Grimnar dies or is incapacitated, who would take his place? Ragnar? To be honest, I don't care enough about the Space Wolf fluff.
I don't think it would be Ragnar.
There are those who say that... Sorry, go on.
Because who else of the Wolf Lords are there? Eagle Islandwolf's dead, I know that.
Yeah.
Is Harold Deathwolf?
Bran Redmore?
Is Crom Dragongay still around? Was he a Wolf Lord?
He was in Stormclaw. I don't know what happened to him after the Red One. But the myth around Ragnar is that he's Lord of the lot. But then they're sort of saying that he's being set up to be the successor. They're sort of setting him up. Whether that's true or not, I'm not sure if that's exactly correct.
I'll just say Ulrich the Slayer takes control until they can select a successor. He'll just take over in the meantime. Because everyone respects Ulrich. Was it Ulfric?
Ulrich.
Ulrich, yeah. Everyone respects Ulrich, so he'll just take over until they can elect a proper successor.
Okay, let's move on to the next question.
Also, given time, this might have to be the last one.
Okay, if Fabius Bile and Belisarius Call were contestants on the Galaxy's next top geneticist, who would win?
Bile.
Yeah.
Ooh, no, Bile cloned a Primarch. Like, cloned many Primarchs.
He cloned all the Primarchs.
If I can quote one person, if he can quote a Primarch, he can make a female Space Marine.
Well, he did implant gene seed into a female. It's called a Gory. Granted, it's a stripped down gene seed, but it's still gene seed nonetheless. So that'll be the last question today, so we should be wrapping up things unless anyone has a last minute rant to get off their chest.
Real quick, if your question wasn't answered this week, please post it with question in the comments for the next episode. Yeah.
Okay.
I've got nothing to add because all my rants are academic.
Alexis?
I got back from freaking Iceland, met a hot Viking, and ate whale meat. Like,
You didn't meet me there.
I'm in a pretty damn good mood.
Fair enough. And on that note, that brings us to the end of this edition of Adeptus Podcastus. So, thank you to Michael from Tactica Imperialis and EgoQueenAlexis for joining me this week. So, until next time, which will be on Michael's channel, this has been... Yes, indeed. This has been Remleiz from 40k Theories.
This has been Tactica Imperialis.
I'm Alexis. Love me.
And we'll see you all again next time. Bye-bye.